Welcome back to the Photaudiography podcast. I'm your host Luke, and today I'll be talking all about memory cards and storage. Digital cameras do not use film, so in order to store photos, they need a storage card or memory card to save the digital images onto. These cards can be swapped out, replaced, and interchanged. Memory cards should not be confused with SIM cards. SIM cards are small chips used in cell phones by the cell phone provider to connect your phone with the cellular network. I've heard many people call their camera's memory card a SIM card, but this is not the case. Part of this confusion may come from the popular memory card type, the SD or secure digital cards that are used in many cameras. When buying memory cards, there are several things to keep in mind. First, you need to figure out what type of memory card your camera takes. As I mentioned before, many cameras use the SD card format, but there are several different types of SD cards, such as SD, SDHC for secure digital high capacity, and SDXC, secure digital extended capacity. Not every camera is compatible with every type of SD card type. Even if a memory card fits into the slot on your camera, this does not guarantee it will work. An example of this is many older digital cameras that use SD cards are not able to use SDHC and SDXC cards because of the way the file system is set up on the card. Though these cards would all fit into the memory card slot on the camera, if you try using them, you'll get an error. Consult your camera's manual to be sure which types of cards are compatible with your camera. There are other types of memory cards such as Compact Flash, XQD, CF Express, among others. The main thing to look for, other than making sure you are getting the correct type of memory card, is the capacity of the card. This is generally the largest number advertised on the card, normally measured in GB or gigabytes. Keep in mind, if you are shooting RAW, your files will be larger. You will need a larger card to accommodate more of the larger files. When looking for a memory card, capacity is not the only thing to consider. The read and write speed of the card is also important. You may see relatively inexpensive cards with large capacities. However, they are most likely cards with a slower read-write speed. Also, be careful where you get your memory cards from. Be sure to find a reliable retailer, since counterfeit cards are something that can easily lure people in because of low cost. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Don't be afraid to spend a little extra money to get a quality memory card. I can tell you from personal experience that cheap memory cards are a huge waste of money, not to mention unreliable, causing you to lose your work. Remember to format new memory cards. This ensures that the file system for your camera is set up on the new memory card. Anytime you want to delete pictures from your camera, I personally recommend offloading your photos onto a hard drive, backing them up, and then formatting your card, rather than deleting images one by one on your camera. My camera saves the same image to both memory cards. My camera has dual memory card slots, so it's hard to delete the images from both cards, so I prefer to do it on the computer rather than on the camera. The screen on the back of your camera is small, so it's hard to tell if an image is really worth deleting, which is another reason why I prefer to delete my photos once they are on my computer. Another thing to keep in mind is if you are using a memory card between two different cameras, even if the cameras are the same brand, you should format the card once you put the card in a different camera. But remember, when you format the card, it deletes everything on it, so be sure you do not need anything on the card before formatting it. Increasingly, it is popular for camera manufacturers to include more than one memory card slot on a camera. I highly encourage you to partake in this powerful tool if your camera offers it. Cameras with multiple memory card slots offer a variety of options for how data is stored to each card. Personally, I recommend using the second card as a backup for the first. That way you have an immediate backup copy of all the photos you're taking. Other options for the second card slot include using it for additional storage when the first card fills up, or saving RAW files to one card and JPEG files to another. Personally, I'm pretty strict when it comes to backing up files, so I will go into more detail with that right now. Memory cards for your camera are not the only storage solution you need to consider. Offloading your photos from your camera's memory card is the next storage solution you'll need to consider. First, I'll start by recommending that you use a memory card reader to plug into your computer to offload your photos. Using a cable from your camera or using a wireless transfer can often be slower than using a dedicated memory card reader. Depending on your situation, you may want to use something like a wireless transfer to quickly transfer a few photos to a tablet on the go, but ideally I would suggest using a memory card reader attached to your computer. Once the photos are on your computer, you want to make sure that you have a backup system in place. When I used to have one main computer, I saved the files to the computer's hard drive and then had two backup disks I would run anytime I added important photos to my computer or run it periodically. Personally, I like using both Windows and Mac operating systems, so I set up a simple file server with a backup attached that runs a backup every hour. I also manually back up my file server once a month on a separate drive. I can access the server from my Windows or Mac computer, or if I have someone else that wants us to access my files, I can set them up on the network. It sounds more complicated than it actually is, but if you use multiple computers, I'd recommend looking up how to set up a simple home file server. Another great solution is to use online storage. For my most important files, I not only use my home server, but I upload them to my online storage. Online storage can be expensive compared to regular hard drive and external storage solutions, but it is extremely secure and convenient since you can access it from pretty much any device that connects to the internet. Another form of backup is to have a drive at another location. For my family's photos, I gave each of my siblings and my parents a small hard drive with our family memories on it. That way, if one person's copy is destroyed, we have multiple other copies, and since there are so many files, I did not want to continuously pay to keep these files stored on an online storage. The reason I am so strict and want to spend so much time talking about memory cards and storage is because I have lost many photos from using cheap memory cards and having improper backups in place or not having a backup in place. Memory cards and storage can get expensive, but often they'll last for many years, and you can certainly use computer storage with multiple different cameras and for multiple different things more than just photos. You can use it for videos, documents, and other files, and you can even use camera memory cards with different cameras if compatible. There are data recovery services and software available if you lose data, but there are never any guarantees with these. If a hard drive or memory card is corrupt, or if the files were deleted on accident, you may be able to retrieve them using recovery software or a data recovery service at a computer repair store. I would recommend looking at reviews if you're using a software tool online before purchasing, or looking into a reliable computer repair store near you. Here are some closing additional tips when handling and using memory cards I have for you. Be sure to safely eject cards rather than just pulling them out of the computer, or camera for that matter. Make sure the camera is finished writing data to the card before you pull the card out of the camera. Also, avoid any static charges or shocks to the memory card. Just with most electronics, it's not good for it to be shocked by static electricity. If a memory card fails, stop using it immediately. If you continue to shoot with the card, it could corrupt more files on it and become more corrupt. However, if you stop using it immediately and go to a computer and plug it into a card reader, you may be able to salvage some of the images and pull them off before the entire card becomes corrupt. Alright, well, that's all the bad advice I think I have for you today about memory cards and storage and backup. So I'll see you later, Shutterbugs.